Done. How do
Did I just hear text to speech? Oh yeah, you will. Yeah, I'm sharing all my audio. I'm trying to find where this... Ah, here it is.
Done.
Alright, here's the link. Spam chat when you get over, just so I know you're there. And we'll see you in a sec. Oh, Andrew, stay in this classroom though. We'll come back to this after we finish this section. Alright. So, let me just check all the volumes. I think we're all good.
How do
We should be good. Just so I know you're there. Oh, Andrew, stay in this classroom though. Yep, sweet. Alright. People are rolling in, sweet. So cool. So hopefully we're all kind of getting comfortable with this global timing. 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3. Here we go. Oh, let's get these levels a bit healthier. So, I've got these two samples here. I'm just going to solo this one. And I'll turn off my metronome. Remember, it's this little black and white dots here. So, you know, that sounds good, but I kind of had this thought of, like, what if I use this as a bass line? So, note, I can see my waveform down here now, and the way I did this was double-clicking the wave. If you don't see it, double-click your clip, the clip that is there. Double-click it, and you'll see the waveform. We can adjust the height of it so we can see it a bit better and stuff. And now we can go through. If you ever want to go back to where effects would be, which we will kind of have a look at, I think next week we'll look at effects. We push Shift Tab for this one. So Shift Tab will switch between audio effects that you have on that track, and then Shift Tab to show the clip data or clip information. So cool. So with this open, we can start to see there's some settings in here we can mess around with. And one of the two that I'm going to talk about right now is we have a gain for the clip. So if the clip was a wee bit quiet, we could turn it up. Or if we wanted to keep our knob at unity but the clip was too loud, then we could obviously turn it down. Bring it down a bit. So this is a gain per clip that we drag in. All of the clips have it. Note this one's set at, oh, let's just reset that. I double clicked, and let's double click to reset that. So the other one is this transpose. So every clip will have its own transpose knob as well. So if you don't currently see if it's grayed out, there is a chance that it's currently set in this menu, which we will talk about later. Oh, actually, we'll talk about it very soon. It is currently on repitch or something else. Make sure it's on, let's for now just do complex. Then you should see that this knob here, transpose, is now enabled. It's black. And you can now change the pitch for that particular clip. So I'm going to tune it down. I want to make it a baseline type thing. So that's pretty great. Now, let's have a listen. So I want to also listen to this one. So maybe I'll just unsolo it for now. And I'm going to mute the drums by deactivating the drums. Pushing this one here. And let's have a listen to these two samples together. So, I don't know, it's going to be kind of hard. To figure out what pitch I should choose here for this one. But oh man, you could almost leave it where it is. But let's have a look. I don't know what note to concentrate on in these congas. I think around there. Oh, is that the note? Did I just sing what was already there? I did. So we can, you know, start to kind of pitch samples down. Maybe that's a bit too hard to pitch together because that conga is a bit weird. Let's see what else is in here. Sorry, let me just turn up this so you can hear it better. No. These are all drums. Maybe we could try something like that. Maybe we try this as a melody. Maybe for now, let's just see what's going on. So I'm just going to change the algorithm to complex, just to bring it up to normal pitch. And maybe I'll try see if I can get these that ambient sound there and pitch with this sucker. So luckily we can also see that in this file name for the guitar loop, it's got an A flat minor. So we might be able to sneakily, and this is in D sharp. So what's that difference? D sharp comes down to D is 1, C sharp, C, B, and then A flat, so 5, minus 5. Let's try that. Make sure it's on complex, and let's go minus 5. And push play. Oh. So maybe I'll do it up an octave, so plus 7. Almost in tune. So I don't know, you might not have the same samples as me. So one thing is that, you know, have a mess around with this. At least you know how to kind of transpose a sample to kind of start getting, you know, samples in tune at least. But we're also going to start looking at what exactly this is. So this is, we are currently, if you can imagine, let's actually just concentrate on this beat for now. So currently I'm at 92 BPM. So the other thing with this program is it uses warping to allow for you to relatively smoothly adjust tempos. And notice as I pitched up, as I increased the tempo, it also increased the pitch, like it was a turntable. So when we go the other direction, it'll obviously start to pitch down. So we could start getting into some really moody stuff. But what if we don't want the pitching thing? What if we're like, hey, I want you to still warp it so it's in time with everything, but I don't want you to warp it with pitch. I want you to keep the original pitch. So this is when we can start to look at some of the other algorithms. We now know what repitch this algorithm does. It repitches like a turntable. You speed it up, it increases the pitch. You slow it down, it decreases the pitch. But then there's other ones. So let's have a look at this beat one, and let's have a listen to hear what this beat does. So note, it sounds, 102, it's pretty steady. We increase it, notice it's not pitching up anymore. And then as we go down, we'll be learning more about this later on. Yeah, we'll kind of mess around with this a bit. So notice as I slow down, it does start to fall apart. So remember, this sample originally was at 92 BPMs, and we've slowed it down to 59 BPM. Speeding something up is a wee bit easier to do, rather than, steadier to do with algorithms than it is to slow down. But we can still do some things with this. So with this particular algorithm, it's, as you can guess, it's good for beats. So the way to this kind of works, and I'll just make it brief, is if we notice with rhythms, luckily there's lots of transients. So if we notice there's a hit, and then there's a tail, hit, tail, hit, tail, hit, tail. And so because we know with rhythms, it's pretty much a collection of hits and tails, that we can, if we kind of start to, this algorithm treats it as knowing that there's going to be a hit and a tail, that it just kind of sees the hit, sees the tail, and then plays it at the appropriate time that it should. Currently, if we look here, so this gets a bit weird, but don't worry too much about it. Currently it goes, okay, if the tail is really long, what do you want me to do with it? So currently, if you notice here, it goes, there's an arrow going forward and then there's an arrow going back. So what's kind of happening actually, if I just zoom in for a second, it'll do the transient, the hit, and then it'll start doing the tail, and then when it gets to here, if it's still not at the right time, it starts to kind of go back and forth and kind of loop this section to try to make it smooth. But that might not be necessarily what you want, because obviously if you listen at that 59 BPM, we can hear it's kind of a bit glitchy. So we can try some of these other variants of the beat. So this one is play the tail, play a section of the tail, and then kind of get back to the start and just keep doing that. So it's like play, 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 play. So we can listen to this. If you can hear that difference. Or the other one is play stop, which is just play the tail and don't repeat it. Don't try to smooth the connection between transients. So then we get this choppy thing. So that's kind of what the beat algorithm is. It's good that they offer these variations for algorithms, just so we can, for our own flavor, we can decide, hey, what do we want to happen? Instead of just going one algorithm to rule all, they give you an options here. So the next one is tones. This is using granular, if anyone knows what granular is, grain sizes. That's kind of a subject in itself, but we'll start to kind of hear what this one is probably more of a textural flavor sense. So again, it should be 92 BPMs, but we're at 59. And let's have a listen to see what this algorithm does. Notice it's a bit more grainy. I'm going to reduce the grain size. So I'll slow it down even more so you can hear it even better. I'll do small grain size, so that was quite a large grain size. This should sound a bit more robotic. If you remember the scene when in The Matrix when Neo first goes out, he touches the glass mirror, and then the glass slowly fills his body and then goes down his throat and makes that noise. That's what this is. So as you can imagine, we could use this for a bit of flavor later on. Maybe sample this, cut it up, and do some interesting things with it. We will look at this later on. Then we've got texture, which is a wee bit more complex version of the tone one, the granular one. We have grain size and flux this time. Again, fundamentally the same thing, but we can make it weird and wonderful. So, we can, that's not necessarily going to be for everyone, but those who vibe with that type of stuff, will definitely vibe with it. Repitch we've already done, so depending on the tempo, it will also affect the pitch. So we're really low because we're really slow. Great. Then we get into the complex and the complex pro. So these are more of the complex, as you can imagine, they're the complex algorithms. These will put a wee bit more pressure on your processor and stuff, but they generally can do a lot better with pitch. And I will tell you, ouch, my ears. Sorry. Am I loud right now? I have no idea. So, if we look at this, so we're 92 is the original tempo of the sample. Let's slow it down to that 59 and have a listen now. So notice it does a lot better with these more extreme stretches. It will eventually, cark it. But even then, it's pretty steady. So, then there's one last algorithm. There's the Complex Pro. Complex Pro is for more vocals. If you notice, we've got two settings here, formant and envelope. Was clipping on your end? Is it clipping for everyone? Wait, let me have a listen to what's going on over here. If you do, clip that as double click. Like, what if I use and now? Okay. And the way I did this, I'm not sure. So yeah, this is more for vocals. This is better used for vocals. I don't think I have any vocal samples in here right now, do I? No, we'll have to have a look at this one. But yeah, just if you remember in the future, if you are going to be potentially warping vocals just to fit and to change it to an appropriate tempo, it will. This was dumb. I lost my train of thought. When you're time warping, stretching. Vocals, use the Pro version. I will show you that at a later date. So, now knowing kind of roughly what these things do, we can start to kind of explore some interesting ideas. So, this is called time warping. There's a few things before we get into this. We just need to know how to navigate this bar. So, I'm going to make this area here. So I'm just going to make this slightly bigger by grabbing this center line here, and let's bring it up a wee bit. Now, if you want to zoom in on the waveform, notice if you put your mouse at the top here, there's a magnifying glass shows up. We can hold that hold our mouse button down, and if we drag down, it zooms inwards. And then if we want to scroll left and right, if we still hold our mouse button down, we can move our mouse left and right, and it'll do, we can go in and out, zoom around. So if we zoom in a bit and we start to have a look at this top section here, notice that there's these little little gray arrows above, just in these not random, but in these particular positions. And if we compare where those arrows are compared to what is on the waveform, we can start to notice that these are transient detectors. These are seeing the transients within the beat, so it's picking up some random things in there as well, but it's trying to find the transients. So it means that we can start to, so if we zoom in here, note that the snare drum is like, I don't know, a 16th, maybe even a 32. Can someone repost that YouTube link in the class? I think someone. fell out. So if we double click on one of these little grey arrows, it'll add a warp marker. And then we can move this back in on time. So it means this is kind of a really good way to, rectify if there's any just timing issues with a drummer or with a singer, you can go through and kind of tighten things up. If there isn't, so notice this one is slightly off where the beginning of the transient is. You can just create one by double clicking anywhere and then moving it to the appropriate slot. So this is a really good way of kind of just quickly cleaning up timing issues if there's any. We can quickly just go through, find where there's issues, and just clean things up. Maybe that can move. But in turn, obviously we do remove potentially any, some of that feeling that was originally in there. So, it's all about people's taste. If you want it kind of really tight, then you can do it really tight. But maybe the song that you're working on requires a little bit of looseness. So, we can do that as well. So I'm just kind of quickly going through and just finding some warp markers that I can clean up here. So just double click on the light gray, just as a reminder, double click on the light gray, and then we can move it around. And that's looking pretty good. So we probably won't notice too big a difference with this. Let's put it back to normal tempo. But it does feel awfully tight. So, it's a really handy thing. But this is where things get interesting. Is we did this as like kind of a this was a method of like rectification or maybe, just smoothing things out, tightening things. But we could also use these warp markers in a creative sense. So what if we started adding some where there aren't any? So I'm going to just put one here for now. And I'm going to say, let's put one here. Oh, no, let's even get closer. Let's put one here. And I'm going to grab this one and I'm going to move it. So I'm actually stretching out that snare. And let's have a listen. So I'm going to put this on repitch and we'll hear this a bit better. So remember, if it slows down, so in turn, if it's stretched, it'll pitch down. And then the opposite. So let's say on this snare, I'll put a warp marker here and let's grab this. I'm going to bring it tighter. So then this is tighter, which means this snare should pitch up. So all of a sudden we can start to get some interesting things going on. And then as we start to look at some of the other algorithms, e.g. texture or tone, we can start getting all these weird and wonderful glitches. I'm just going to start clicking randomly and stretching and compressing random parts. And let's see what happens. So, first of all, with whatever sample you have, you can do this with everything. So we could do it with this guitar loop. We can go through and have a look at this. Let's solo this. So let's go back into the classroom. And we've got 15 minutes before class finishes, actually. First of all, do a cleanup. Find marks that are off time and kind of clean things up. Move it around and, kind of roughly guess what mark it should be on. It probably won't be too far away from a mark. And let's have a listen. Let me put on the metronome just to check that timing. And then once you've done like a rectification kind of fix job, do a mashup job. So just tear something up and try some of these algorithms. Maybe change the grain size. Do some weird things and see what you come up with as well. Cool. I'll see you back in class. Maybe change the grain size. You know, do some weird things and see what you come up with as well. Cool.